to the para summary. Okay, so German sociologist Max Weber contextualized the role of journalism in relation to academic scholarship. He wrote, not everyone realizes that to write a really good piece of journalism is at least as demanding intellectually as the achievement of any scholar. Okay, so we know that the first idea here is the role of journalism is relation to the academic scholarship, and he's saying that it is as demanding, okay, intellectually as the achievement of any scholar. Okay, so so the author is saying that the journalism is not quite different because it is at least as demanding as that of a scholar. This is particularly true when we recollect that it has to be written on the spot to order, and that it must create an immediate effect even though it is produced under completely different conditions from that of a scholarly research. Okay, so now in these lines, the author is actually explaining us, I would say, the difference between journalism and the academic scholarship, academic scholar, okay? Journalist and an academic scholar. It is generally overlooked that a journalist's actual responsibility is far greater than the scholar. While many recognize the act of verification as the central function of journalism, very few recognize journalism role of bearing witness to the events. It remains the voice of the people. Okay, so overall idea of the whole passage, I would say, is that um, the author actually quotes the definition of a Max Weber. Okay, that role of journalism is quite challenging as that of academic scholar, and later on he actually tells us these aspects, okay, that how it is actually challenging. Okay, so few realize that journalism and academic scholarship are different in scope, responsibility, and function, and this is actually the correct answer. Okay, so it actually highlights all the points. Okay, so the role of journalism, okay, in relation to academic, he wrote, not everyone realizes that to write a good piece of journalism is at least as demanding intellectually as the achievement of scholar. This is particularly when we recollect that it has to be written on the spot. Okay, and so the scope, and it must create an effect even though it's produced under completely different conditions from that of a scholarly. It is generally overlooked that a journalist's actual responsibility, so the responsibility is being talked, the function is being talked here, and the scope part is being talked initially. So few realize. Okay, now the few people only realize this. Okay, so not everyone realizes. So from this we can actually infer that the few realize that. Okay, so very few again recognize journalism or role. Okay, so few realize that journalism and academic scholarship are different in scope, responsibility, and function. So responsibility, function, and the scope. Okay, so this part is the scope written on the spot. Okay, even though it is produced under that of an academic scholarship. Okay, now the role and responsibility of journalism is to report events instantly and act as a voice of a people. Okay, now this is just only one part of the sentence. Okay, this is only the last idea, I would say. Okay, and it is not covering the overall idea of the whole passage. Okay, so anything, I mean, it just generally happens with the people in the case of the para summary is that they feel that the para summary is actually the conclusion. Just they read it last does not mean that it is actually the para summary. Okay, so again, there's a main problem here. Okay, it is missing upon the important part, which is actually the academic scholarship. Okay, so initially everything is being to tell you that how the journalism is different from the academic scholarship. Okay, so far greater than the scholar. Okay, from that of a scholarly research. Okay, is at least as demanding as the achievement of a scholar, and it misses upon that. Okay, very narrow. Journalism and academic scholarship, though intellectually demanding, have different levels of responsibility. Okay, so now this option number third, okay, it is only signifying the responsibility part. Okay, so now journalism and academic scholarship, though intellectually demanding, so this was a part. Okay, intellectually demanding, and they are different in terms of responsibility. Okay, it actually fails to mention first of all the function part. Okay, and it is a very general. Okay, so not it is everybody. Okay, unanimously. Okay, so it is a kind of a general statement. We need that few realize it is for a few people only. Okay, so journalism and academic scholarship, though intellectually demanding, have different levels of responsibility. So it's only the idea two and only the responsibility part. It misses upon the function part. Okay, secondly, it feels as if for everybody this is a case. Okay, but this is not the case because the few actually realize the difference between the two. So this is incorrect. Okay. Now, Max Weber contextualizes journalism and academic scholarship at intellectual and functional levels. Now, this is only related to the Max Weber's definition. Okay. The author's opinion. What is the author's opinion? That is missing. Okay. So the main idea of the para summary is being missed. Okay. We just picked up a one line or the initial line from the passage. Okay. So it just summarizes the Max Weber's position. Okay. The author quotes the Max Weber to highlight the difference between journalism and academic scholarship. Okay. So the author's purpose is to highlight that how journalism is different from academic scholarship. Okay. Not just to, let's say, quote the Max Weber thing. Okay. So that is the reason that the first is the correct answer for the para summary question. Okay. Hope you get it correct. Okay.